What's going on, guys? I'm the Walrus Jedi, and welcome to another Alien video. As you've seen in the intro, we are going over the Ssi-ruuv. Please consider liking and subscribing if you enjoy. And without further ado, Ssi-ruuv. This world is located in the unknown regions, and was the home to the Ssi-ruuv and the Ssi-ruuvi species. The planet was humid and had lots of jungle in the Sea-cat system of the remote Ssi-ruuv star cluster. There were spired cities throughout various parts of the jungle. They had the fragile look when compared to the world's flora. There were also volcanoes, and a large part of the world was oceanic. Some interesting locations were the volcano Mount Ssi-ruuv, the underground caves of Slath, and the residence of His Potency, the Sri-ruuvi, ruler supreme of the Ssi-ruuv. His palace of Kreenacht. The Ssi-ruuv and the Ssi-ruuvi ate the fifth lizards. 2 seats of power had the Ssi-ruvi Imperium, the Elders' Council, which was the political body, and the Conclave, the religious body. These 2 bodies often vied for control. Only His Potency the Sri-ruuvi kept the outbreak of civil war from happening. Ssi-ruuv society was divided into a caste system based on skin color. The 5 main groups were green, red, yellow, gold, and blue. It was forbidden to mate with different colored Ssi-ruuv. Green Ssi-ruuv were the workforce of the Imperium. Red individuals represented the military. Yellow scales were the technologists that created the various devices used by the Ssi-ruuvi Imperium. Gold reptilians are the religious caste, and blue were the leaders and politicians of the Ssi-ruuv. There was another color, brown, which were the offspring of Ssi-ruuv from 2 different castes. They were left to do menial jobs. And then the Ssi-ruuvi were slaves. The Ssi-ruuv were conquerors, and they used the vile entechment, where they used living beings' souls as energy to power their various devices. Palpatine made a deal with these reptilian reprobates. They can entech millions and have several worlds if they shared their technology with him. The Ssi-ruuv did this on a small scale, and it was covered up by the Imperial leadership, blaming the attacks on the rebellion. Due to Palpatine's death, the Ssi-ruuv launched an invasion. They were defeated utterly at Bakura. The Chiss decimated the reptiles in retaliation for conquering some of their worlds. Years later, during the Yuuzhan Vong invasion, the Vong used these lizards to fuel their plans, but they failed, so the Vong further decimated them, and maybe even driving them to extinction. Ssi-ruuv had 32 hours in a day, with 344 days in its year. Language spoken was Ssi-ruuvi. The government was a theocratic monarchy, population of about 10 billion. They imported energy sources and exported kassa and fift. Ssi-ruuv. The New Republic first encountered the Ssi-ruuv during the conflict at Bakura, directly after the Battle of Endor. Natives of the planet Ssi-ruuv in the unknown regions, Ssi-ruuv are a warlike, warm-blooded reptilian species. Adult Ssi-ruuv can range in size from 1.9 to 2.2 meters tall, and their physical strength can match that of a typical adult Wookiee. They have very strong, long, muscular tails, 3 digits on their claws, and a sharp beak containing knife-sharp teeth and talons for rending prey. They are carnivorous. Members of this species possess a keen sense of smell, made more potent by the 2 forked tongues that flicker from their nostrils. They tend to rely on smell more than on their eyes, which are extremely sensitive to light, requiring them to have 3 lids that protect each Ssi-ruu's vision from any sudden burst of illumination. Their heightened sense of smell actually allows them to read the emotional states of their fellows through changes in scent. At the same time, it causes them to find the scent of other races distasteful. The Ssi-ruuv speak a language that is a combination of musical tweets and whistles that caused the Bakurans to nickname them fluties. Although a few Ssi-ruuv understand Basic, it is rare that any are able to speak it. Though fearsome, this race as a whole has one great fear. They shrink from battle on a personal level. Most Ssi-ruuv will not engage in combat when they are not on their own homeworld. This avoidance is based on their religious belief that if a Ssi-ruu dies on a world not properly consecrated, his or her spirit will wander aimlessly throughout the galaxy for all eternity. Ssi-ruuvi society is dictated by a rigid honor code. Ssi-ruu believe that they are superior to all other species, due to an ancient pictograph called the Ganok. According to Ssi-ruuk, other races are inferior and are no more than sustenance creatures. Ssi-ruuvi society is a clan-based hierarchy, and each clan is designated by the color of their scales. The highest ranking group is the blue-scaled clan. Other clan colors are the gold scales, primarily religious, red-brown scales, military, and the green scales, workers. Most Ssi-ruuk are of the latter caste, which is the lowest caste to still receive esteem and honor. The clans strictly avoid interbreeding with one another, as the products of such unions, determined by their brown scales, are the lowest caste of all. Rare black-scaled Ssi-ruuk are trained as assassins and bodyguards for Ssi-ruuvi leaders. Ssi-ruuk's coloring is obvious as they do not wear clothing, instead carrying belts with pouches for any needed items. They find other species need to cover themselves humorous. On their homeworld of Luek, an absolute ruler called the Shrieftut controls the Ssi-ruuvi government. Two councils advise this monarch, the Elders' Council and the Conclave. The Elders' Council is made of the most respected citizens of Luek. Words from an elder are considered as important as those of the monarch himself. The Conclave is a group of spiritual leaders who guide the Shrieftut in setting and enforcing laws that adhere to and complement their religion. The Ssi-ruuk initially left their home system to search for new energy resources. Since they have not developed fusion technology, used by most spacefaring races in this galaxy, they developed instead a process called entechment, wherein a living creature's life energy is drawn from the body and transferred into a droid, ship, or other piece of technology to give it power. When off-world, Ssi-ruuk use droid ships in battle to protect themselves, powered by the entect life forces of captured prisoners. At first, they entect and enslaved a race called the Puek from their own homeworld. The Ssi-ruuk also use other sentients beside the Puek as slaves, and all of their slaves are brainwashed through a type of mind control that completely subverts their will. This mind control can be broken, but the entechment process leads to unavoidable death. Entechment, nevertheless, is an imperfect process that leaves its victims in perpetual agony. They do not last long in a ship or other system before needing replacement. Before the Battle of Endor, the Ssi-ruuk began expanding toward Imperial space in an attempt to gain captives in sufficient numbers to power their military ships for an escalating war with the Chiss. During this time, Emperor Palpatine made contact with them. Wanting the entechment technology for himself, Palpatine secretly ceded them a number of Outer Rim systems and allowed Ssi-ruuvi slave raids to go unchecked, blaming the attacks on the rebels. One of these incursions brought the Ssi-ruuk to the Imperial-controlled world of Bakura. Although the rebels had destroyed the second Death Star just the day before, they intercepted a drone ship bearing an urgent distress call from Bakura and dispatched a small battle group to assist. Working with the Imperials stationed on Bakura, the nascent alliance of free planets, forces turned back the Ssi-ruuk toward their own region of space. It would be years before the Imperial remnant and the New Republic would sign an armistice, but this joint effort marked the first time the two groups would work together to repel a common enemy. During this conflict, the Ssi-ruuk discovered that Force-using humans could exceed their expectations as a power source and could also draw life energy from other creatures to themselves, thereby expanding into entechment to have a broader area of effect. Luke Skywalker foiled a plot to capitalize on this, and afterward set out to find other Force sensitives to protect them from being exploited in such a way again. For decades, the Ssi-ruuk made no forays into Republic space, but this changed during the war against the Yuuzhan Vong. After the birth and ascension of the mutant, multicolored Puek leader known as the Kirimak, the Pueks approached Bakura with a peace treaty, claiming to have thrown off Ssi-ruuvi domination. Of course, the treaty was a Ssi-ruuvi ruse to take over the planet and gain more slaves, as they had further perfected the entechment process, allowing for a life force to power a mechanical system indefinitely. With the help of the New Republic, the Ssi-ruuk were defeated again and driven back to Luek, where they came face to face with the Yuuzhan Vong Armada. The genuine Poic emancipation movement did sign a treaty with Bakura, allying themselves for the common good. That is the Ssi-ruuk from Luek. Let me know what you thought of these dinosaurs in the comments down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed, and until next time, thanks for watching.